And these questions that, or yeah, I guess questions that I just wrote about in the description have been like plaguing me forever because then I started to think that it's a big conspiracy and that everyone's just like against me because they're mean and they want to fuck with me or something. And um, I said something at some point probably to piss one of them off, and then they all got each other against me. I don't know, like, and they know each other. So being the person that doesn't know anyone, like I'm just kind of like, oh yeah, that sounds very reasonable that that could happen. And so yeah, all these like questions start to just I mean, I've been wondering about these kinds of things that I mentioned and why people are doing what they're doing and what all the different connections are between people and um, not necessarily trusting people and because I don't know them or where they're coming from, which makes sense, and giving them the chance to tell me, but then never getting answers. And then you're like, okay, they're obviously hiding something. And then you just start to go in circles and you start to like go crazy and eventually just kind of blow up. And I guess that fits with this playlist. But yeah. And then you're like, oh, I was just overreacting and it doesn't really matter because then, you can distract yourself or something. But when so much is wrapped up in what you're doing and what you're trying to do and where you're trying to go and all of that is dependent on knowing where you stand and what it is that you have to work with and who you could talk to potentially or like work with in the future or anything like that. Like, in order to go forward, you have to know like who you're working with here and if you want to work with them because you want to be surrounded by good people that you can trust. So it's all kind of wrapped up in getting these questions answered and no one will answer them. So I never feel like I can move forward, and I feel like at the end of the day, like that's really selfish of people because if it just comes down to answering some freaking questions and um, you know, if you don't care, then it shouldn't matter. And if you do care, then you should want to answer something to help someone um, feel better and be able to move forward and um, put the pieces together themselves that are missing from their end. And having done that themselves for you, like it just seems like that's something someone would do if they did care. And so either way, it doesn't really make sense to me why people wouldn't come forward with like what their different connections and links are and why certain things are the way they are or not the way they are or whatever it is and what people want, I guess, from me and um, what it is that maybe I said or did that they didn't like, because then I'd be able to either explain or apologize and vice versa. And then I just feel like there's no reason, unless that's what you want, is a reason to be mean to someone, but like there's no reason then to punish them or me, I guess. Just kind of speaking generally. So, yeah. Um, that's basically what I think, and I just feel like it's really unfair to expect something from someone when you aren't willing to give that yourself, and have all these other things riding on whether or not I put things out there or don't. It seems so ridiculous, actually, to me. And so, yeah, I probably will think of a million other things to say, but the title of this playlist, I didn't get to finish because I ran out of space. But yeah, so I put these things, and that is part of all this as a journal, as a documenting like things that I think and working them out, and then seeing whether or not some things sound crazy because sometimes we have crazy thoughts, and then you're like, okay, and but then I see that it helps in some ways, but then people read and judge, and so that's shit, and I don't know. It's just very much a double-edged sword. Like, people expect things and they benefit from them, but then they judge you for it and don't return the courtesy, and so it's just a very difficult position to be put in, especially when, yeah, like I said, so much is riding on this for me. And maybe you don't see it that way, but I do, because I really would like my life back and really would like to move forward and be able to build a life for myself. And I'm not able to do that for a number of reasons, that being one of them. And so, yeah, I feel like if there is something that you can do to help, that would be great. I'd really appreciate it. And if you are trying to hurt my life in some way by keeping me isolated, I really, really would appreciate it if you'd stop and explain yourself to me, because no one has the right to do that. And especially not when they are not willing to tell you why. So, yeah, that'd be wonderful. That would be just fantastic if you could just start talking. Like I said, that wasn't like a joke or anything. And like I said, not a lot of this isn't, and a lot of it's just mixed, because we're complex and a mixed emotion thought people. And I don't expect anything else from you, and you shouldn't expect anything else from me. All right?